Hi, I'm Dale Gwynn with the Flesh All Mini Flesher Company, and I'd like to take the next few minutes to demonstrate to you my new tool, the Flesh All Mini Flesher. This tool is quickly becoming one of the widest used tools, fleshing tools in the taxidermy industry, and we have two different models of this tool. We have the air model, which is complete, comes ready to use. All you have to do is just hook it up to your air compressor. It's a little more powerful than the Fordham tool. It's a little bit heavier, a little bit bulkier tool, but it still works good in the thinner areas, in the detail areas because of its small size. The Fordham model runs off a Fordham tool. Take the 44B handle of a Fordham tool, adapt our kit to the front of it, and it actually makes this handle a Fordham tool, or a mini flesher. The air-powered flesher needs an air compressor of, say, about 2.5 horses air compressor or larger, and with about a 15 to 20 gallon volume tank to run this tool and be able to flesh and not have to worry about stopping and waiting for your compressor to build back up and all that. And even the larger compressors are real nice, but that is about the minimum I would recommend for this tool. The adjustments on these tools are very simple. By taking the 3 acorn nuts loose, loosening and tightening one slightly in the center to hold your position, you can, by lifting the guard up, you expose more blade, and by pushing it down, you get a very thin cut, or actually cover the blade with the guard. Now also there's a left to right adjustment, where if you take and move this tool all the way to the left, or this guard all the way to the left, you'll see it exposes more blade on the right and less blade on the left. And I like to adjust the guard and the blade even in the center, exactly flush in the center, which is about the perfect setting. So you've got, if you adjust it all the way to the left and even in the center, you have a very thick cut on your right, to a medium cut in the center, and to a very fine cut on the left, which allows you, by just rotating the tool, a different depth of cut anywhere on the guard, so you can find that right depth of cut for whatever part of the hide that you're fleshing. After fleshing, after using these tools, it's a very good idea to take them apart and clean them. And the way that's done is just loosen the 3 acorn nuts on the top, and slide the guard off. Just comes right off like so, with an Allen wrench and a small end wrench. Take the Allen screw from the shaft, and just this one screw holds the whole blade assembly in place like so. Then you have your base plate, and your retaining washer and screw, and your blade. Now the blade is a serrated edge blade. It's not like a typical fleshing blade. It has little serrated edges along the edge of it here, and it stays sharp a lot longer than just a straight razor sharp blade would. These little teeth actually cut in a high-speed tearing action rather than a sharp cutting action, so you're going to get your blade to last a lot longer. If you keep it clean, it can last as many as 150 deer capes. I've heard reports of people getting as many as 150 deer capes out of one blade. So it is a high-speed steel blade, but it will rust, so it needs to be cleaned and oiled after each time. Now the guard comes loose from the main housing of the motor by unscrewing it like so, and all these parts, once you get it unscrewed, all these parts can be taken and washed. I recommend washing them in dishwashing liquid, and then drying them off and putting a light coat of oil on them. Now the main motor needs to be wiped off with a oily rag. Just wipe these areas out and clean it up. I don't recommend submersing it in water, but just wipe it off with an oily rag and you're done. Now the Fordham model, it disassembles in the exact same way, except for instead of unscrewing, you unscrew the nut out of the adapter and then take the adapter from the Fordham handle and wash this whole kit and oil it, and the handle, as the motor of the air tool, just needs wiped off and oiled lightly. And that's the cleaning procedure. for the mini fleshers. Okay, now I'd like to explain to you a minute or talk about the condition that the cape or the hide needs to be in before you flesh. One of the most popular questions that I'm asked is, will my tool flesh a green cape? I've been asked that 100 times, or 100,000 times it seems like. Yes, it will, but not very good. The best way to flesh a green cape with this tool is put a little borax or powdered preservative on it and let it set for a few minutes, and then it'll dry up that meat enough that you can take it off and it will work. But as all of you know, a green cape just doesn't flesh near as well as a pickled cape or a salted cape. It's just that meat is so slimy and runs from the blade, and it's so hard to get off of there. It's not even, you can't even hardly cut it off with a razor blade. So what I do, one of the best ways is to take your cape and split everything and then salt it, let it set overnight on a tilted surface, and then the next morning it's in excellent condition to flesh. Now that's the method I use when I'm getting ready to send a cape to a tannery. If I have a big cape, say a buffalo or an elk or something like that, I'll split everything, pack it with salt, come back the next morning and brush the salt off and be able to flesh it down in just a few minutes and have it ready to go to the tannery. On the capes that I tan myself, I use a formic acid pickle, which any pickle, you know, will work. But a formic acid pickle that I have seems to get this cape in a perfect condition for fleshing it and shaving it thin, and that's the method that I use if I don't salt them for sending them to a tannery. This cape has been in a formic acid pickle, like I said, or it's salt and formic acid, and it just pickles the meat up and gives it a perfect condition for fleshing. The only equipment that you need to flesh with the mini flesher, besides the mini flesher itself, is I use a couple of boards of various widths with the ends trimmed down on them. Just to stick on the inside of the cape. The tool fleshes a lot better if it's on a good solid flat surface. And also, one thing you can't do without is a tapered fleshing beam for doing the eyes and the nostrils, and some on the earbuds. So other than that, when you got your cape and your boards and your mini flesher, you're ready to go. That's all you need, and you got your cape in good condition, either salted or pickled. You're ready to do a good job on your cape. Alright, now I'd like to demonstrate to you my method of fleshing a whitetail cape with the Flesh All Mini Flesher. There's kind of a definite pattern that I go by. I do the sides of the face, and then the forehead and the underneath side, and then work myself back to the ears, and then back to the neck and the wider areas where I can really go to town on it. But let's do the face areas first, and I'm going to start here on the deer's right side face. We got the eye here. And just flesh this area, and then we'll be able to flip our board over and flesh the other side. So right now I'm going to start with fleshing this side of the face. Find my pedal here and go over that bit. Be very careful not to get too carried away there and cut the eye off. Okay, also I'd like to explain just for a second. Now, the depth of cut is not only adjusted by the guard and the blade, but actually the further up you hold this tool, the less it cuts. And the further down you hold it, the more it cuts. So when you're in a tender area like right in here, you can hold the tool up more and it cuts very little. And then when you get into a heavier area, you can lean it down and it cuts more. So I usually try to get up fairly close to the lips. And I got a little bit different method I do on the lips. And get it down nice and thin. I usually leave about a ½ inch or so around the eyes to get later with the fleshing beam. Come up behind the eye here and get that fleshed down. And be very careful not to get off of the edge of your board. If you get the blade off of the edge of the board here, there's a possibility of cutting through. You need to stay on the good flat part of the board. Just go over your cape. Now we've got the flesh off. We're just thinning it down, making it nice and thin, getting all the little areas off here on the side of the face. And up closer to that eye. Keep all this meat you're fleshing right back. Right. Out of your way and keep it from getting caught up in the arbor. Often I'll take my hand and brush that meat back out of the way. Okay. Right up around that eye there. Not too close, but press this down. If you're satisfied with the nice even consistency, take and feel your hide and make sure you've got it nice and thin. And a little bit thick right in there, and I'll go slowly and shave it. Get that down just about where I want it, and that's just about right. Okay, now we're going back here and pull this ear, actually, the corner of this board up into this ear. Pull this ear down and get this last little bit right here. This area nice and thin so you have a good ear butt. With clay, you can make you a nice, good, even ear butt out of it. Just push right back to almost the edge of your board. Just check the consistency, the thickness of your cape there. That's just about that for that side of the face. Now I'll flip my board over and start on the deer's other side here. Everything nice and straight, and make sure there's no wrinkles. You don't want any clumps of meat or anything underneath the skin that'll cause a bubble in it, because that'll make it sometimes cut through a little bit. But we'll start up here by the nose again. Right up around the edge of that eye. Around the edge of the board, being careful not to get off the edge of my board. Push right up around the edge of those lips. We'll go back and do those lips here in a minute. Right up, leave about a ½ inch around those eyes. Now just kind of go over it, smooth your cape out, get all the little things, little nasties that's left on there. So you got it nice and smooth and even. Now we can come on back and push this thicker part a little bit faster. Go ahead and get it off of there.